This is for basic demonstration. Later in the course, we will also use the RabbitMiner. So I hope that you guys all have installed the RabbitMiner in your computer. If not, you are welcome and go up here and see about the instruction how you can install the analytic software in our class, and you can easily find the instruction about how to install and register for RabbitMiner. Okay, this would be the interface and also some of the websites, so you can download the free books. You can upgrade the RabbitMiner into educational version for free. So if you got the free version of the educational version, you will have the full access into all the function of the RabbitMiner. I like the same thing I'm doing right over here. I can make and analyze for very big data sets with the educational license. Okay, so that's give me the chance to analyze for unlimited data route and logical processor. This could be super strong and super important. So I recommend you guys to install for the educational license of the RabbitMiner. How you can do that one, I show you for the instruction on this website already. Maybe the website had been updated a little bit, but anyway, it's quite the same. So all the thing you have to do will be just like try to register for profile by your emails, and then you go into your account. You can see the educational program, and you just follow up the information and the instruction about the information onto like for example personal information, and especially specify about you are a student of the VNUK and put into the academic emails over here. Okay, when you have the academic emails of vnuk.edu, remember to use the edu's account and put into the correct like VNUK Institute of Research and Executive Training. I'm not remember our education something. And briefly describe that you use RabbitMiner in my class. Okay, in my ABA class, and we're going to use it in some section like the with number 8, 9, 10 about data mining, and just apply for the license. So they will release for you the license very quick in just about a few minutes or maybe an hour. And after that, you are free to use your RabbitMiner totally free. That's help you to save about like $100 a year for the license. I'm not sure. Let's check about the RabbitMiner Studio free. The pricing of that one will be not that cheap. Let's see. But they would be, I remember before, they will cost about more than $100. So you can say $100 for the application of the educational license, and you have a 12-month plus one. After that period, you can request for the kind of extension for another 12 months and again, as long as you still have the student email. You good about that? You good about that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I hope that you guys can just do it. That's one. And that will be the new tool for this week. From now until the end of the course, that's everything you have to go through. You already learned about Excel, right? You already learned about SQL. Unfortunately, in this course, I didn't show you how to do some cloud computing for database management. For example, the BigQueries or Google Sandbox of Google Clouds. But anyway, like if I have a chance, I will just show you some instruction about how to use that one. But you have learned about SQL, right? You learn about Excel for data manipulation and cleaning. You learn about business intelligence and visualization on Tableau. That's a very strong tool. I'm pretty sure that you guys already done for the test group assignment. and we soon do all the grading. And now you learn about rabbit miner. That should be another kind of like data mining tool. Super strong and very interesting too. Okay. Anyway, like for the today's section, I will just introduce you very quick about some of other programming language, for example, R or Python. But you don't have to really care about that one. I just want to demonstrate you guys to see like how it should be interface, how the people can use it for the more advanced data scientist job. Okay. But that's everything. Don't have to really care about that one. Okay. Sáng nay hình như là có một số bạn là bị cấn lịch đúng không? Thôi thì chúng ta sẽ wrap lại cái buổi học ngày hôm nay lại, rồi sau đó thầy sẽ làm một cái edit về video, không thì các bạn phải lên trực tiếp MS Teams này để các bạn xem bài. Anyway, but let's just go straight for the top of that one. Mọi người có câu hỏi gì không? Trước khi chúng ta bắt đầu bài học ngày hôm nay, chúng ta sẽ học bài về data mining. Thì cái mà khác biệt một xíu giữa cái lớp của thầy với lớp thầy Tuấn ở bên cạnh ấy, đó là thầy Tuấn hình như thầy sẽ dừng ở buổi thứ 7, buổi thứ 8, thứ 9, thứ 10 thì thầy sẽ làm final project đó, tức là hướng dẫn các bạn làm sao để làm data đối với lại là không phải làm dashboard giống như cái hôm bữa mình học Tableau ấy. Thì với Tableau thôi. Còn trong trong cái môn của thầy ấy, thì thầy hy vọng là các bạn học được nhiều hơn chút, để dành cho những đứa nào mà nó có nhu cầu nó sẽ học cao hơn và chuyên sâu hơn một xíu. Thì chúng ta có một cái nội dung là data mining. Thì đây là sự khác biệt. 3 buổi cuối này thì thầy dùng để dạy data mining, còn 3 buổi cuối của thầy Tuấn thì thầy sẽ dạy chỉ tới tách lên chỉ làm project thôi. Mình thì không làm project, môn của mình thì mình sẽ thi cuối kỳ cho nó khỏe. Thì nếu như các bạn học từ đầu đến giờ mà các bạn học SQL ok, học Rabbit Miner ok, học tất cả những phần nội dung ok, tôi sẽ làm được final project không sao. Thì đó là cái basic mà thầy coi cái gì Rabbit Miner. Rồi, thế thì trong cái phần nội dung này như hồi nãy thầy nói, chúng ta sử dụng một cái tool mới đó là Rabbit Miner. Và Rabbit Miner thì thầy có hướng dẫn làm sao install rồi, các bạn install với máy tính của mình nha. Thứ hai là apply cho educational license để được miễn phí 1 năm sử dụng. Cái này thì thầy không cần thiết phải build code, vì thầy cũng không cần, các bạn có thể tự apply bằng tài khoản của chính mình để các bạn làm cho quen, để bữa sau mà qua kỳ nữa thì 1 năm 2 năm nữa các bạn làm chẳng hạn, và công ty cũng vẫn bắt là phải dùng Rabbit Miner hoặc là làm data mining gì đó, thì các bạn biết là ở chỗ nào để apply license để được free. Yeah. Đó là những cái nội dung thầy muốn nhắn nhủ. Có bạn nào có câu hỏi gì trong buổi ngày hôm nay không? Trước khi chúng ta bắt đầu buổi học. Question? Problem? Any problem? Bài assignment number 1 thầy đã chấm rồi. Tuần vừa rồi thật ra thì thầy đi về Việt Nam để công tác. Thầy đi công tác ở Hà Nội, Sài Gòn. Nên tuần vừa rồi thật ra khi thầy vừa đáp xuống sân bay á, Đà Nẵng ấy, thì thầy định là tổ chức lớp mình học offline bữa. Thật ra thì thầy dạy lớp FBA buổi 6, thì thầy dạy lớp đó là lớp offline. Nhưng mà qua thứ 7 á, thì trường có hỏi thầy là có dạy không. Thầy thì thầy muốn dạy, thì tất nhiên là thầy thì không bị chịu ảnh hưởng bởi băng thông tin của năm đâu, nhưng mà thầy muốn hỏi ý kiến của mấy đứa là xem là muốn học hay không. Thì mọi người vote là không học. Thì thôi thì thầy không conduct cái lớp đó. Đáng đó thì tuần đầu chúng ta học offline. Nếu mà mọi người ngay từ đầu mọi người nói là ok bọn em học á, số lượng đông hơn thì thầy sẽ chốt và thầy sẽ mở một cái phòng ở trên tầng 12 hay tầng 6 gì đó. Thôi nếu mà không có đủ bạn thì chúng ta sẽ nghỉ được tuần rồi. Thì tuần này thì ngược lại thì schedule của thầy không cho phép thầy ở Đà Nẵng để mà dạy offline. Ok, anyway. Right. Let's do it for the tenant count before we really start for the class, okay? Ok, nhớ về nhà apply cho có Rabbit Miner nha. Nếu như ai đã cài Rabbit Miner thì tốt. Nếu như chưa cài Rabbit Miner thì cố gắng cài Rabbit Miner để free. That's it. Okay, let's go straight forward into, let me see, wait for a second. This one is just parameters, so as penalties, no, principal, it should be principal, correlation and principal, yeah. Okay. All right, let's go straight forward. And anyway, I received for some type of notification about data analytics position from Melbourne, but actually this will be work in Bangkok. So if in case like a lot of people are looking for some opportunity about data analyst or the data mining, data scientist, or maybe business analyst, you can try to search for some opportunity online. One of the very highly recommended networking would be via LinkedIn. LinkedIn will be very kind of like ideal networking environment for you guys to get very professional and reliable recruitment information. Okay. Anyway, if you take a look into some of the position, this is for senior data analyst. That's mean, of course, you need about like 3 to 4, maybe 5 years of experience to just work on this one. But anyway, if you go and see about the content, for example, here, normally the people require for 4 years of experience. But don't worry, because like most of the case, when you do and apply for the job, the people will say like require for 1 year of experience. 1 year mean no experience. Okay, 3 year, 4 year experience mean if you have a 2 years experience, it'll be fine. You can be get into consideration. The only reason why people put into the seniority or the years of experience here will be try to deter the people who are not confident about their professional proficiencies and also confidence. Mọi người nên nhớ là gần như những cái vị trí công việc này nó có rất là nhiều, nhưng mà thường nó sẽ có cái năm kinh nghiệm yêu cầu ở đây, mọi người cứ yên tâm. Nếu như mà nói 1 năm kinh nghiệm tức là không cần kinh nghiệm. Cái lý do chính họ bỏ vào một cái số năm kinh nghiệm yêu cầu đó, nó là giống như một cái deterrent đó, để nó tránh cho những người mà thiếu tự tin, những người mà đến nỗi mà kiểu mới nghe thấy rằng là cần có 1 năm kinh nghiệm mà còn không dám apply, thì những người nó rất thiếu tự tin, và rất thiếu tự tin cũng không cần thiết phải tuyển, cho nên họ sẽ có một cái deterrent như vậy, tại nó giống bí mật. Yeah. Còn lại phần lớn thì tất cả những cái này người ta, nếu như những cái vị trí mà analyst ban đầu thì nó sẽ không có yêu cầu về mặt experience đâu. Yeah, gọi là experience in demonstrating technical advertising, but that's all. Over here, they require some technical proficiency in some tool, for example, AppMark will be something not relevant to you guys at all. Click with the same to Tableau, Python, and SQL. Or at least like you know about SQL, right? Python will be something a little bit more advanced, and if you learn about that one, this will be some kinds of like Jupyter notebooks for Python. And provide some types of like coding too. But anyway, like it's not sometimes the requirement. You will get a bad plus if you know about Python or R, but if not, it's okay. The other test you will do would be like you have to understand about life cycle of the data, like for example, data analyst with the exploratory process, modeling, design, throttling means cleaning, data quality, hypothesis testing, right? That's something you learned already in the FBA class, right? Data visualization and dashboard design. Okay, this will be actually just all the thing about business intelligence, about Tableau, about Click, about Power BI. So that will be it. If you want to just go and develop for your job, I found that there are thousands of the opportunity out there. Yeah. Anyway, like, I will keep going and update if like there any kind of like opportunity for you guys to apply for. Think a little bit bigger because I now you are quite an international citizen. You have English, right? You have accredited degrees from you're a bachelor student, but you have the accredited degrees. Just try to graduate on time. You got some technical skill, and you also have the soft skill like communication, a little bit like graphic design. Um, YouTube, video editing and other kinds of soft skills, something like that, negotiation, whatever. So you will be qualified for a lot of okay, job opportunity, also the position online. You can find a job online, hybrid modes, or on-site. Doesn't mean you have to travel, relocate into the new country, but try to be open for that opportunities. Okay. All right, let's go straight forward. We're not talking about it anymore. Let's go straight forward into the today's section, the advanced business analytics. Okay. And today's class, for this class, the week number 8 and week number 9, we will just concentrate into the unsupervised data mining, or the part 1 of the data mining. Um, Mostly we focus on the clustering. That's a very important unsupervising data mining. And for the technique, the K-mean cluster will be the main theme. Okay. We will go through for some kinds of section, including like the introduction of the data mining, what the origin, like the histories of the data mining, definition, what is the data mining mean, the process in which you go through for a data mining analytic, the two styles of the data mining, that's mean the two main algorithm group of the data mining, including supervised and unsupervised. Recently, we also have the reinforced machine learning, but don't worry about that one. We just try to focus about this one too. Some of the text or application of the data mining. Finally, we go very in deep into the clustering. That should be one of the unsupervised data mining methods. About a definition, about how we can calculate for the clustering and the algorithm behind that one. Even when I say algorithm means thuật toán. But anyway, like it's not that hard. Don't worry. I try to simplify it as much as possible for you. Okay. Moreover, all the thing has been posted on Canvas, like always, right? You can easily see the PowerPoint slide, the instruction video. The first two instruction video will introduce you how to use RabbitMiner in a nutshell. It take about an hour and try to just understand about how you can do all the things on RabbitMiner. That should be very useful because I like always I say, if you don't practice enough, when you jump into the next day, that take more time from you. Okay, so try to just keep it on track. Do it frequently and practice it with the proper time spending. Finally, I also provide some kinds of like extra material. You can see some K-mean cluster explanation video I provided here. Later in this class, I will show you and some of the paper like about common application of data mining. Okay, I post this over here about the 7 different fields that they normally use for data mining. And the application in details. So that will be it. Finally, quiz homework. Try to focus in the due days, all right? The model data sets until this point is just all demonstration data sets. But however, in the next class, next week, I will submit and upload for the new data sets used for the final project. Used for the group project. Don't worry. Okay. All right. If you have any question during the class, you will just like raise your hand or just let me know. Okay. We just discuss about that one. I wanted to see you guys to be feel free and comfortable about my class. So, okay, let's do it and rock. Origins of the data mining. For today's session, we learn about data mining. Right? You already learned about database management, data queries. That's the content of the first, the class number 2 and 3. You learn about how to clean the data or data throttling, data cleaning, something like that. You learn about data visualization in the previous class, right? Via Tableau, via Excel, and I know that there are lots of things changing. But anyway, like you to make it and good job. Finally, you go into the last phase of the data analytic that should be mining. Unlike the regular descriptive analysis, and unlike the data visualization text, where we just try to provide some insight by creating a chart, create a graph, create a correlation chart, a scatter plot, something like that. The main purpose of data mining would be try to investigate the relationship, to help to make prediction, and to help to see the association between variables. And that's something more complicated than just regular data visualization can do. If you already learned through some class like BIM, right? You learn about regression model. You learn about SEM model. You learn about, for example, the PCA or CFA, something like that. That can be clarified in some way. Data mining. That's mean they are based on very complicated mathematical format, formulas, and also some algorithm to develop some calculation. And they're more complicated than the regular or usual knowledge that you are stopping until this point. But anyway, data mining still be developing and more in the contents of most of the job of the data analyst. Now the people require you to get more advanced knowledge like data mining, not just only the data visualization or business intelligence tool. Okay, so why we need data mining? Like I say, you can easily create everything by making the graph, right? Until this point, you think like, yeah, create the graph will be a good way to analyze the data, but that's not work. For example, like always, you do it for this graph of the chart, like this one, right? Or sometimes if you do it for a little bit more advanced, like time series graph, okay, you can see that, okay, this could be seen to be very simple if you can create for some chart and the graph look like this. But with different stuff, for example, if you just have a just like a few years, right, a few hundred observation like this one, the charts look not so easy to follow, right? It's like it look like it start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 different stuff. Okay? And they have the different timestamp, they have a long histories. You see how the stock go up or go down, fluctuate over time. But all the thing we are doing, we just like, for example, 659 observation, and that's all. Okay, what happened if I say with me, for example, we normally do it on the platform of hundreds of different stock. I say 100 of different stock, and there'll be 100 or maybe 1,000 or maybe 10,000 data point look like this one. So this chart will look seem to be super long, right? Super big and super complicated with 100 different chart lines, something like that. So this will be one of the big disadvantage of the traditional techniques in data analytics, like for example, data mining, sorry, data visualization. When you have a vastness of data, that means you have a lot of data. When you have big data, that's what I already mentioned in the previous class. When you have a lot of data, right, and your data will have highly dimension, or you say high dimensionalities of the data. That means your data have a lot of variable. In the previous chapter, right, you are working with, for example, a few observations and with just few a few variable of few attribute, right? For example, over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 5 variable. In the previous class about Amazon, right? About Amazon instrument sales, you got about like 20 variable, something I'm not remember, something a little bit more than 20. But In the real data mining or the new data, later I will show you some of the data sets. You will have a lot of dimension like that. You may have a 50 variable, sometimes will be 100 variable, sometimes will be like 300 variable. Can you imagine a big data with million of round or million of observation and 100 of the variable? That's super big, right? So with the vastness of the data and the complexities of the data and the distributed nature of data, the people cannot just use the traditional techniques, but they have to figure out and try to just establish some more advanced data mining, data analytic methods, and that's what the people call data mining. So in this slide, I show you about the short histories of the data mining. For example, back to 1960, the people first will be have the basic idea about data mining based on statistical analysis. And then in the 1980s, the people think about something called neural network. Um, Unfortunately, in this course, I don't have time for you to learn about neural network. But if you guys have a chance to learn with my another class, I'm not teaching here. So I do have some class about decision tree. I do have some class about the neural network and lots of interesting things about that one too. Um, so in that case, like if we have change in the futures, we can learn about this one on that. But anyway, like I say, data mining had developed very fast. And until the 2015, DJ Partin, he had become the chief data scientist in the federals of the White House. That's mean thinking about the president of the US, right? And all the data has been like managed and had to be analyzed by one guy like this one. So he's the former chief of the data scientist um, of the White House, and that should be one of the kind of what the people call the milestone of the development of the data mining. When the data mining were really considered for serious decision making in a very big and macro scales, like the White House, like the President Obama at that time, or President Obama. And that should be it. You see like how the data mining from just a field of the statistical analysis back to the 1960s had developed into one of the top and the hottest topics in data analytics in the real world. So okay, the thing I'm updating until like 2015. Now it's 2023, 8 years already. The most of the thing has changed. Okay. Anyway, for data mining, that should be the combination of the different kinds of knowledge and also skill and the dominant network, including business and economic marketing. That's what normally people call business dominant knowledge. You also have to have some kind of basic statistic, like mathematical modeling, understanding. You have to learn some of machine learning and AI for computational algorithm. Um, Even when it's a little bit hard, but don't worry, if you want to learn about this one, there's some kind of in the books. They will do some teaching about machine learning and AI foundation. And finally, of course, like always, for data, you need to understand about data preprocessing and database. Okay, so that's be the origin of the data mining. However, so what exactly does the data mining mean? Um, I really like this definition. It should be just a business process to explore a large amount of data. Remember, data mining will work well with a big data set more than a small data set. Even when in my class, I will try to demonstrate in some small data sets for you to understand. But anyway, the power of data mining will be big data. That means if you have and give more data, you give the data mining methods more data, they will become stronger and help you to analyze more question and the pattern. Okay, so using a large amount of data in this business process so you can discover meaningful pattern and the rule from the data. Okay, this seems to be very kind of like common in general, but this what the people do with the Win AI, with the FBTs or with the Win Mark, right? They had a very big data set, and with that big data sets, they would do the data mining, the analysis, and they got some kinds of like new knowledge from the data sets. So that's really it. Okay, remember the outcome of the thing will be like they will try to get the meaningful pattern and the rule. It had to make sense. It had to help you to make prediction, and it had to help you to make the movement and the decision. Okay. Um, okay, I will not just spend too much time into this part because they will be really so theoretical. Um, and this will be the data mining process that you go through for some kinds of like procedure. Like first of all, right, you have to understand about the business context. That's what I always require you guys. Before you make any analysis or data mining, you have to understand about the business context of the problem and for the solution you are trying to find. Okay. Second, then you have to understand about the data you got. Right. You prepare the data, like join the data set, right? Clean the missing data, reformatting, transform the data. That's what we already done. Modeling. This would be what part? This would be main part of the data mining. So you will have to find the model, for example, classification and prediction. That's something we learn in the later chapter after chapter number 10. Um, and you sometimes do the clustering or something what you learn in this class. And anyway, that should be the modeling part. And then you evaluate the performance of the model. If that's work and that can recommend and give you some kinds of idea about how to improve the business, you can deploy it. You can deploy the result and make some movement, make some change in your organization, get more profit, get more revenues, reduce the cost, something like that. That's what we do for data mining in business. Thì cái data mining ở business mình thì hơi khác lại data mining của những cái ngành khác. Data mining của ví dụ y sinh thì người ta có thể dùng data mining để chẩn đoán hình ảnh này, để xem thử là xương có bị gãy không bị gãy, để biết là một người có bị ung thư không bị ung thư, giả sử những cái như vậy. Data mining nằm trong những cái ngành liên quan tới ví dụ khảo cổ học, thì nó sẽ giúp cho người ta có thể dựa trên những cái kết cấu ví dụ về hóa thạch chẳng hạn, đưa vào hệ thống ví dụ hình ảnh chụp phân loại, thì người ta có thể giúp người ta phân loại rằng là nhóm người này thuộc chủng dụ Neanderthal hoặc là những thuộc là Homo sapiens hoặc là something like that. Thì đó là những cái application của data mining trong những cái field khác, trong những cái domain khác. Nhưng mà riêng trong business của mình thì data mining nó thường sẽ làm mình dùng ở trong những cái nội dung để mà decision making đó. Ví dụ như là manufacturing, làm sao để giảm thiểu số giờ làm của nhân công, làm sao để giảm số người phải trực trên băng chuyền. Rồi data mining nó thể ứng dụng ở trong marketing, ví dụ như là làm sao để xác định được khách hàng này là những khách hàng mục tiêu, khách hàng nào là không phải là mục tiêu, khách hàng nào là nếu mình gọi điện thì họ sẽ mua hàng của mình, và những khách hàng nào mình có nói hãng cổ họ cũng không mua hàng, giả sử như thế. Khách hàng nào đang có cái xu hướng là có thể là sẽ rời bỏ cái dịch vụ của công ty mình chuyển qua công ty khác vì đối thủ hình như nó đang làm khuyến mãi gì đó rầm rộ lắm, giả sử thế. Hoặc là làm sao để determine được là sorry somebody okay không thì đó sẽ là những cái ví dụ như là làm sao để mà giải quyết những cái vấn đề khác của business in general. So don't worry about that one. We'll talk about that in detail. But anyway, our data mining process in business, right? They will try to deploy the result to make some improvement in the performance of the organization. Okay. Let's go mainly into what will be the machine learning subclass. So we have the two main types of the machine learning, or you say data mining. would be supervised learning used to train the machine to label the data. Okay, for example, if you have a lots of image of different kinds of animal and you let them know that this kinds of animal will be cat. Okay, so after you make the training model on the machine learning and data mining, later if you show the computer another image of a cat or a dog, he can tell you that this is not a cat if that should be the image of the dog, and this could be a cat if that's really a real image of a valid imaging of the cat. So that's what supervised learning. When other unsupervised learning will be another field that we learn today. We use unlabeled data to train the machine. For example, I do have the data here for the mall customers, okay? And we have no idea what exactly they mean. We have some information about some of the customers, like they are male, females, what will be the age, annual income of them, and Spanish score. But we have no other outcome or the dependent variable. We say dependent variable. So the only thing we can do will be like we can group some of them into the different group, subgroup of the customer segmentation. Later I will show you how to do that one. But that shows us like normally for the people at the same characteristic, then we can link into the same group and we can try to just target them with the suitable marketing strategy, something. So that's what the people do for the supervised, unsupervised machine learning. Um, for example, the data over here, for example, when you fit in a lot of data, for example, the image of different vehicle, the computer later will group all the thing like long and big car into the what the people call bus. Okay, why the other some feel like very big car but cannot get a lot of passenger, but instead it can deliver a large number of the item they will call this maybe the truck. And some of the other maybe like they very small compact energy efficiencies, and also it can normally can deliver about three, two or four or five um, from 2 to 5 passenger, so they can be clarified into the regular car or sedan, right? So that should be unsupervised learning compared to the supervised learning. Don't worry, for this part, this will be how it looks like for the two different data. The first one is unsupervised data. Why the other second? This should be supervised data. Okay. Um, thì mọi người ở đây thấy cái supervised và unsupervised đây nó có thể hơi gọi là mông lung một xíu. Thì nó khác biệt duy nhất ở chỗ này như thế này. Đối với là unsupervised data thì hắn chỉ cho data là data thôi, nhưng chẳng có cái label nào hết. Mình chỉ biết rằng là có rất nhiều thông tin về một cái tập data. Nhưng mà ngược lại với lại supervised data đó, thì nó lại có những cái thông tin liên quan tới cũng cái đối tượng như vậy. Nhưng mà đến cuối cùng nó có một cái purpose. Ví dụ nếu như những người male, female, age hoặc salary này, họ sẽ có cái kết cục là sẽ khi đến cái cửa hàng mình họ purchase hoặc không purchase, giá trị là 0 hoặc 1. Thì đây được gọi là các label output, các label hoặc gọi là target variable. Được chưa? Tương tự như vậy, nếu như mà đối với dữ liệu về, đây là một cái phương pháp gọi là classification, tức là phân loại. Ngoài trừ đó là một cái phương pháp khác là regression, tức là hồi quy. Thì cái này các bạn từng học ở trong những cái môn trước. Nếu như mà có nhiệt độ như thế một ngày đó, pressure của không khí như thế, humidity của nó không khí như thế, wind direction, thì mình có thể tính ra được wind speed một bao nhiêu. Giả sử như vậy, thì tất cả những yếu tố này nó sẽ cho mình biết là wind speed nó sẽ bằng bao nhiêu. Như vậy đây sẽ có một cái target variable hay là một cái gọi là output variable. That's different to the previous example, right? When they don't have the output variable. All right. So you can see about the difference between the supervised versus the unsupervised methods. But anyway, to be honest, 70% or maybe 80% of most of the case when the people say about data mining, they will work more in classification, they will work more on the regression, they will work more on some kinds of like the method about label data. and that should be supervised data mining. Okay, they will be used for specific purpose. They will have a target variable, and it's very useful. Normally very useful because the people has already know what will be the targets, what will be the main purpose of the analysis, so they can get more insights knowledge from the data more than unsupervised data. For example, the people can ask like, what types of customer will more likely to cancel the service in the next 6 months? Okay, so with all the information, for example, normally the people very old or maybe young, less than 25, their income may be low, so around like less than 5 million a month. They are still student, um, and their credit score is super low. So maybe this month or this semester or this quarter, they are using the service of VCB, Vietcombank. But however, this could be more likely for some kinds of group like that. They will move into another bank like TCB, Techcombank, or Vietinbank, or Agribank, whatever. And they royalty would be very low. So that should be what the people normally do with the supervised data mining. When the others unsupervised data mining will be used for no target variable, as I saw before. They mainly to be used for the exploration purpose, and sometimes the meaning of the analysis may be vague. It may be hard to determine. But anyway, supervised data mining is very, very important. Sometimes the people will use unsupervised data mining before we use the supervised data mining to just clarify, to just do the clustering, to just make the data into a different group and be ready for the supervised data mining. There's some common text after that. That's the data mining. For example, classification, regression, causal modeling, similarity matching, link prediction. They can be called the supervised data mining. Some of the example has been associated with different data mining tasks. Okay, when the other clustering, co-occurrent grouping, or we say association rule, or profiling. Okay, they will be some of the data mining tasks is unsupervised. Thế thì những cái phương pháp này, những cái task này thông thường thì sẽ được sử dụng rất là nhiều ở trong những website. Ví dụ như profiling. Profiling là một trong những cái phương pháp mà như thầy nói người ta thường hay rất là dùng đối với lại là bank. Những cái hoạt động nào nếu mà ở đây ai có đang có Visa card chẳng hạn, debit cũng được, mà đặc biệt là credit. Nếu mà bạn làm rơi cái credit của bạn, hoặc là lúc mà bạn đi ăn, bạn từng để cái điện thoại, bạn từng để cái thẻ của bạn bị hack mất, tức là chụp hình, anh nhìn thấy tất cả các thông tin, ví dụ số thẻ này, tên trên thẻ này, rồi expiration day, hoặc là những cái CVV, tức là CCV, tức là cái mà security code đằng sau lên cái thẻ. Thì về lý thuyết, tội phạm nó thể dựa trên những thông tin đó để mà nó rút tiền của bạn, hoặc là nó lấy để mua sắm. Tuy nhiên thì khi mà nó thực hiện transaction như vậy, ví dụ như cái thẻ nó bị rò rỉ, mặc dù thẻ nó được issue ở Việt Nam và bạn thường quẹt nó ở Việt Nam, nhưng mà nếu nó một thằng hacker nước ngoài chẳng hạn, nó lấy được cái thẻ, nó ví dụ thằng đó nó từ India giả sử, thì nó thực hiện cái profile đó, nó thực hiện cái transaction đó từ India hoặc là từ một nơi nào đó trên thế giới. Đến khi nó nhập những thông tin về, ví dụ như billing address, tức là cái địa chỉ nhà bạn hay nhập sai hoặc là nhập có vẻ không đúng, thì cái hệ thống ngân hàng giả sử của TCB chẳng hạn, nó sẽ detect cái fraud này, nó sẽ detect những cái gọi là những scam này, và nó sẽ báo về cái điện thoại của bạn lập tức là điện thoại của bạn nó có thực hiện một giao dịch tại nước ngoài có vẻ rất đáng khả nghi, có muốn put it into warranty hay không, tức là muốn có thể hay không, hoặc muốn là khống chế cái transaction đó hay không, thì máy tính của TCB, cái data mining model của TCB nó phải làm chuyện đó. Đó là một cái application rất là bình thường của unsupervised data mining. Another one would be like about association rule, right? When you come into Winmart and you buy a lot of stuff, like I buy like beef, I buy like eggs, I buy like diaper, right? I buy like all the thing about the children. Okay, so they can see that, and the same with other customers. So they can see that normally the people like me, we buy when I buy a diaper, I also buy the milk for the children, and they know that 60% or maybe 75%, maybe 80% of the opportunity that if I buy the diaper, I will buy the milk. And that would be very helpful for the Walmart or the supermarket to just clarify about me like a potential customer knows for the children clothes, something like that. And they will have some specific and suitable marketing and sales um, strategy to just push me to buy more things, something like that, right? Okay, that's just the common text of the data mining, especially for unsupervised data mining. We would talk about that again and again and again and again. Anyway, but for super learning, you already learned about linear regression, right? Anything else? Know about decision tree, right? Know about support vector machine or logistic regression. But in the unsupervised data mining today class, we will learn about k-mean clustering. We will learn about hierarchical clustering. This will be just an extra material. And the principal component analysis. Ở đây có đứa nào thấy cái chữ này quen quen không mấy đứa? Đấy, ở đây cái này đứa nào thấy chữ mà principal component analysis này quen không? Dạ. Lên. Không đứa mới làm. Im ắng mày. Đứa nào đã học physics rồi, đã làm cái principal component analysis này rồi, và ý nghĩa cuối cùng của nó là cái gì, nói bằng cho nó bằng tiếng Việt luôn. Nếu mà hiểu được thầy cộng điểm. Anyone? Yeah. Hello. Không nhớ đến cái phần principal component analysis này là cái gì này. Để thầy coi thử xem có còn đứa mô sorry. Để còn đứa mô còn nhớ bài. Okay. Internship, right? Let's see who submit for me. Đứa nào làm này không biết, để coi nhớ là đứa nào còn làm này. Đứa nào làm này chưa? Nhớ nào? Hello. Guys. Hello. Không biết nào có đang ngồi học đâu vậy? Có đứa nào đang ngồi học không? Nhà im lặng hết trơn đấy.
Dạ có học thầy.
Có học mà không có đứa môn nhìn thấy cái điểm quen thế này.
Dạ có quen.
Có quen mà không biết nó là cái chi hết.
Dạ hình như em nhớ là cái bảng để gọi là xác định những cái biến chứng của mình đúng không thầy? Xong cái chọn được có 5 cái là sẽ có 5 cái biến.
Thế thì cái này gọi là principal component analysis. Tức là nó ngắn gọn như sau. Thông thường khi mà cái data của bạn hồi xưa mà các bạn học ấy, các bạn tải xuống, tức là khi mà các bạn làm phỏng vấn đúng không? Thì mỗi câu hỏi phỏng vấn như vậy sẽ tạo ra một cái variable. Và giả sử như trong cái bài của bạn này có 17 variable, các bạn thường gọi là 17 item. Nhưng mà thì thật thì trong 17 item này mình có cần sử dụng hết không? câu hỏi lớn nhất là như thế. 17 item này có tốt không? Vì có những cái item hoặc là những cái variable nó rất là bậy, mình dùng từ là rất là bậy, hoặc là có những cái variable nó có thể gom lại với nhau. Ví dụ như cái variable có thể là 5, 6, 7 một cái nhóm đó cùng câu hỏi liên quan tới vấn đề về loyalty of the customer chẳng hạn. Thì những cái variable đó có khi có tầm 4 variable là, nhưng mà thực tế 4 thằng nó chỉ cần một thằng thôi là đủ đại diện rồi. Thì nếu như mà việc bạn giữ hết cả 4 cái variable đó thay vì giữ một variable thì nó sẽ làm cái data của bạn rất là nặng, cái tập data của bạn rất là to, đúng không? Nó gồm rất là nhiều variable thì nó too many dimension, and the people think about like, okay, instead of using all the 17 variable, we will try to just reduce them into just 5. Okay, by some of the things that people call principal component. That means only the principal component, only the very important component of the variable will be used to make the analysis. And that's what the people do and review. Instead of 17 variables, now just 5 of them only. And that's one of the tasks of the principal component analysis in the unsupervised data mining. Okay, don't worry. Just very quick introduce about you to how to do that one. This will be the same. This will be the same. If you already see some kinds of application of the web, right? The human clarification, just let people know, or what the people call computer vision, so they can help to clarify what will be with image we belong to which one, okay? Which image to belong to which one. So with the unlabeled data sets with a lot of image, by using for some data mining model, they will be later generate for the classification, they generate for the label or the cluster. For example, all of this image, okay, they will clarify into the group called golden brick, because that they all demonstrate about golden brick, right? And all this image will be about the bicycle, because they are demonstrating about bicycle, and the same with the bird, okay? So that's what the people do with the data mining. Okay, for the rest of the class, we will go very quick about the unsupervised data mining and the unsupervised learning in the machine learning. Okay, so with the input data, we will have the different kinds of image, right? This will be called the image, but later, don't worry, we do it more about business now. So with different kinds of image, we don't know which one will be similar to which one. This is just a image, but thinking about like when you have 800,000 image, you can just watch and see it all manually. Okay, so there's some kind of unsupervised learning model that's help you to separate them into the two different groups, and then they clarify that, okay, with all this kind of red fruits, okay, they will be in the first group, and the second with the green fruit, they will form into the second group. Even when we don't know this will be apple, even when we don't know this would be watermelon, but anyway, they can clarify them into the two different groups. Okay, thế thì cái unsupervised learning in machine learning, cái ngày hôm nay tôi sẽ nói tiếng Việt nhiều hơn một xíu, bởi vì hắn sẽ có những cái nội dung khá là khó, nhưng mà hiểu thoát nghĩa là được, đừng có cố gắng quá khó. Tức là giống như nhiều khi bạn sẽ gặp những cái ví dụ dân làm liên quan tới anthropology, mấy cái dân mà làm khảo cổ nghiên cứu chẳng hạn, họ tìm về những giống chủng loài mới chẳng hạn, thì người ta có những cái bức hình chụp về liên quan tới giống khỉ, để sử giống khỉ chẳng hạn, có những con khỉ hình chụp rất khác nhau, và một đống hình như vậy cả 1.000, 1 triệu con khỉ như thế, thì người ta không biết là con khỉ nào thuộc nhóm nào nha. Thế thì cứ cho máy nó học hết 1 triệu cái bức hình này, thì nó sẽ tự đánh giá ra được là một nhóm thứ nhất là những con khỉ có dấu hiệu ví dụ như nó khá là lùn, lông nó khá là ngắn và trán nó hơi bị vô chẳng hạn, thì và thường nó sống ở khu vực Đông Nam Á, thì đó là nhóm khỉ thứ nhất. Nhóm khỉ khác thứ hai, nó cơ thể rất là to, khối lượng lên tới trên 200 kg, rồi có dáng đứng thẳng, rồi bàn tay dài, trán lại thấp, là sự này. Thì nó nằm trong nhóm và thường sống ở khu vực ví dụ như là Nam Mỹ chẳng hạn. Cái nhóm đây nhóm khỉ thứ hai, tôi nhóm khỉ thứ ba, thứ năm sau. Và tất cả những cái điều đó nó làm unsupervised learning, tức là từ một cái đống data bị lùi, nó sẽ chia thành những cái cluster khác nhau, những cái nhóm khác nhau. Mặc dù mình chưa đặt tên nó nhóm là nhóm gì, nhưng mà mình ít nhất biết là những cái data đó trong cùng một nhóm thì thường nó sẽ có dấu hiệu giống nhau. Đó là những cái gọi là supervised. Thì tương tự như vậy, hãy nhớ về cái principal component này mà các bạn từng học đúng không? Thì cái data của các bạn gồm 17 cái data, 17 cái data variable. Nhưng mà trong số đó thì sẽ cái nhóm thứ nhất bao gồm có thể 3-4 cái variable đó nó có dấu hiệu rất là giống nhau. Và thực tế thì lúc mà bạn đặt câu hỏi đúng không? Bạn đặt câu hỏi về cái nhóm thứ nhất, nhóm thứ hai, thì đặt câu hỏi thứ nhất trong cái nhóm thứ nhất này thì thường những câu hỏi này khá giống nhau nên kết quả thường nó sẽ giống nhau. Thì đó là lý do vì sao mà cái nhóm thứ nhất này mặc dù có khi mình không clarify cho máy tính nó hiểu, nhưng máy tính nó tự biết được cái principal component analysis này, nó sẽ giúp mình hiểu được rồi. Cái nhóm thứ nhất này, những cái câu hỏi này SS1, SS2, SS3, SS4 they belong to the same group, same one group. Okay, so it's gonna be what the same thing we do it for the principal component and here for the clustering. Okay, so the same we do it for the clustering. It will be one of the unsupervised data, and we try to find the pattern in the data, but not always easy to identify because there are too many patterns in the data and no observable pattern or something like that. So we try to create a different cluster from maybe different group of people, and we know that if the people in the same group or same cluster, then we have the similarity. Why the people from the different cluster, they will have very different characteristics. Okay, and that's what the people call the cluster analysis. Okay, the thing we're gonna just apply for the clustering application, including like for example, as I say, biology. Okay, they can do the taxonomy. Taxonomy tức là phân loại, phân loại mình thấy kiểu là động vật. In the living things, like for example, in kingdom, order, family, genus, and species. For example, we, the species of human, belong to the Homo sapien species. Okay, something like that. So with all the information, they can do it the same. Information retrieval, for example, document cluster. If you have 1,000 of documents in the library, how the people know which paper or which book belong to which one? The people do the information retrieval clustering. That happen to, for example, put all the data of the literature books into this one group, another one like math in the one group or something like that kind of stuff. Okay. Marketing, that's helped me to do it for marketing segmentation, a customer segmentation. Later in this class, I will also show you how to do for the customer segmentation based on the data. Don't worry. City planning, earthquake studies. Okay, we just go very quick. So this will be some demonstration about the notion of cluster. Sometimes very hard and easy to understand. For example, if you have some data point look like this one, right? Some data point look like this one. So it looks like, okay, this data point is so separated from each other, and you can easily see like, yeah, this may be the first group, this may be the second group, and this may be the third group. But sometimes it's very hard. For example, when the data is so integrated and be gathered together like this one, it's very hard for me to see like which one belongs to which group. Most of the case, it's something in between. This means like, okay, it looks like this could be one group, right? This could be second group. Maybe this one will be the third group. It's very hard to really understand and know like which one belongs to which group, but we can still in some way guess about that one. Okay, so another situation would be like when you have these kinds of data, okay? Question would be like how many groups you can divide for this kinds of block spot. Okay, the easy way you can do two cluster because like this first two group, right? It looks like they separated from each other. However, maybe you can do it like six group because like for this three data point, right? They can be belong to this group. This four will be belong to this group. So six group maybe it could be fine. Or maybe you can do it something in between. Four cluster by this way. So the meaning like how many cluster we can do from the original data, 2, 4, or 6, it maybe sometimes depend on the trial and your assessment. So it's quite hard. Okay, but that would be other thing about very subjective assessment. The people have more thing like objective assessment by measuring the distance. So basically the same thing. You can feel like with these kinds of data, right? You can think like this can be first group, this can be seventh group, because that if you compare the distance from this point, this data point into this data point, they're so far away. Why the why the distance from this data point into this data point, they very close to each other. So we can clarify like okay, with all the data would have the small or low distance to each other. This they should be belong to one group, right? Because they close to each other. When the other, if the two data point is so far away from each other compared to the relative neighbor, so they should belong to the two different separated groups. Okay. So when we can measure the distance between the data point, we can know that which group will be more likely belong, which data point will more likely belong to which group, and that should be the point. Um, in data mining, and also later in our mathematics, you will learn about some kinds of distance calculation methods, including very traditional Euclidean distance. Okay, this will be the most common notion of the distance. You learn them in what the calculus class, right? You learn them in the calculus class. So distance between x and, for example, from the point I and j will be like the distance, total distance of all the dimensions. Ok, cái công thức về Euclidean distance này, công thức Euclid này, công thức gọi là khoảng cách Euclid này thì các bạn học rất là nhiều lần trong môn gọi là môn không phải đại số, môn gì? Môn giải tích, môn giải tích ở lớp 10 rồi, lớp 11, lớp 12 rồi, thầy không sẽ không nói thêm. Another one will be Manhattan distance. This is the second way to do all the distance calculation, but they quite be the same. So if we do like that way, we just take it for the absolute difference. So the demonstration will be this one. Between the two values x and y, right? This will be in the coordination. So x will be have the coordination in like 5, 5, and y will be like 9 and 8. Okay, so how you can measure for the distance? The first way, you do it by the Euclidean distance. You just take it by square of the difference between these values. Okay, so first of all, x and y different 9 and 5 would be 4 values in the horizontal, and 8 and 5 will be 3 values in the vertical. So if you do it for the square root of all the value like this one, it should be equal to 5. You say like the distance between x and y will be 5 units. However, the second way, if you do it for the Manhattan distance, by taking off them by the absolute values, they would be, okay, between y and x, right? When you move along of the coordination, if you want to move from x to y, you first have to go along with the horizontal 4, and you go into the vertical 3. So 3 plus 4, 4, this will be equal to 7. This will be how we demonstrate for the two first methods, okay? You can do it by yourself and learn about this calculation one. This also, anyway, will be asked in the quiz too, so don't worry. About the clustering technique, we have the two methods. First of all, we will say like partitional clustering or k-means cluster. That's what we're going to do right after this. And second way could be hierarchical clustering. This will be the extra reading. So you can learn about that one and read about this one. We will just try to mostly focus into the partitional clustering. So with the data, okay, you create a different cluster and see like which one belong to which one. We will learn about what will be the k-mean clustering after this one, okay, and how we can measure for this. Basically, they will start doing for all the cluster by determine a centroid. That's the central of the group, and then we calculate the distance from the different data point into that centroid, and then we measure if this data point belong and close to that centroid or another centroid. Okay, for this demonstration, I will show you a very quick video from StarQuest. Okay, I think that should be very good for you to see about this one. And then after watching for like 8 minutes of the video, let's take a break like 10 minutes. All right.
Quest, stat quest, stat quest.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear the sounds of the video clearly?
Yes.
Right? Okay, good. This will be very quick explanation about k-mean clustering. You can at the same time watch the see the video. See the instruction in my PowerPoint slide about how the people create that. That's one. But basically, this is just some move between the two groups and how they can calculate. Cái phần nội dung k-mean này nó khá là hơi mông lung, nhưng mà ngắn gọn là như thế này. Giống như mọi người hình dung rằng là data đối với những tập data point khác nhau như thế này. Yeah. Thì mình không biết là ban đầu có thể là tất cả cái này mình không biết nó thuộc về nhóm nào. Thì mình cứ nghĩ trong đầu là có thể là nó sẽ thuộc hai nhóm. Thế thì những cái data point này mình mới bắt đầu mình chọn đại thôi, mình chọn đại một cái central, tức là một cái center của cái group đó. Thì mình ý tưởng sẽ là sau đó mình chia cái nhóm này theo hai nhóm dựa trên là cái group này. Dựa trên group này. Thế thì khi mà mọi người nhìn thấy những cái data point này có vẻ là nó thuộc nhóm đỏ và nhóm vàng, nhưng mà sau đó mình mới bắt đầu tính toán giữa những cái điểm này, những cái điểm đỏ này nó đi về cái central này nó có gần hay không, những cái điểm vàng này nó đi về cái central này nó có gần hay không, được chưa? Thì sau đó người ta bắt đầu tính toán lại là có vẻ là cái điểm trung bình này nó có vẻ không đúng lắm, bằng cách là bây giờ người ta làm một phép là phép dịch chuyển cái giá trị trung bình thôi. Giá trị trung bình hoặc trung tâm của những cái điểm này nó sẽ là giá trị trung bình về khoảng cách. Thế thì nó sẽ dịch chuyển cái centroid này về đây. Thì khi đó mình sẽ thấy là liệu chăng mấy cái điểm này nó xung quanh cái điểm centroid màu đỏ này nó có hợp lý chưa? Thì mình thấy này, cái điểm centroid mà hồi xưa, những cái điểm mà màu vàng hồi xưa, có một số điểm màu vàng mà hồi xưa mình nói là nó thuộc về nhóm vàng. Bây giờ dựa trên cái centroid mới thì mình thấy không, hình như nó gần nhóm đỏ hơn nhóm vàng. Thế thì người ta sẽ bắt đầu chia lại, người ta tính là như vậy những cái điểm này mới là thuộc nhóm đỏ, còn những điểm còn lại thuộc nhóm vàng. Tất nhiên là sau khi mình tính toán như thế thì đã kết nạp thêm hai cái data point mới vào trong nhóm đỏ và mất đi hai data point mới ở nhóm vàng. Thì mình sẽ thấy là cái trung tâm nó sẽ bị dịch chuyển, đúng không? Vì hồi xưa là chỉ có chừng đi nhóm đỏ thôi, bây giờ nó thêm điểm cho nên tất nhiên là cái điểm trung tâm nó sẽ dịch chuyển. Thì đến tiếp tục điểm dịch chuyển thì nó có một cái nhóm mới. Bây giờ mình lại đánh giá lại là cái nhóm mới này liệu chăng những cái nhóm được phân loại màu đỏ này nó hợp lý chưa, những nhóm phân loại màu vàng hợp lý chưa, đến khi nào mà nó không dịch chuyển nữa, tức là cái center point đó nó stop, thì mình sẽ thấy là đây là những cái centroid tốt và những cái thằng này thuộc nhóm A, nhóm B là hợp lý rồi. Ok, thì đó là cái basic idea của cái k-mean cluster, nhưng mà xíu nữa thầy sẽ demonstrate nó bằng máy tính luôn cho mọi người xem. Don't worry. But first, understand about what is k-mean cluster. Okay, watch the video and then take a break.
Hello, I'm Josh Starmer, and welcome to StatQuest. Today we're going to be talking about k-means clustering. We're going to learn how to...
Okay, you hear it clearly, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Cluster samples that can be put on a line, on an XY graph, and even on a heat map. And lastly, we'll also talk about how to pick the best value for K. Imagine you had some data that you could plot on a line, and you knew you needed to put it into 3 clusters. Maybe they are measurements from 3 different types of tumors or other cell types. In this case, the data make 3 relatively obvious clusters. But rather than rely on our eye, let's see if we can get a computer to identify the same 3 clusters. To do this, we'll use k-means clustering. We'll start with raw data that we haven't yet clustered. Step 1. Select the number of clusters you want to identify in your data. This is the k in k-means clustering. In this case, we'll select k equals 3. That is to say, we want to identify 3 clusters. There is a fancier way to select a value for k, but we'll talk about that later. Step 2. Randomly select 3 distinct data points. These are the initial clusters. Step 3. Measure the distance between the first point and the 3 initial clusters. This is the distance from the first point to the blue cluster. This is the distance from the first point to the green cluster. And this is the distance from the first point to the orange cluster. Well, it's kind of yellow, but we'll just call it orange for now. Step 4, assign the first point to the nearest cluster. In this case, the nearest cluster is the blue cluster. Now we do the same thing for the next point. We measure the distances, and then assign the point to the nearest cluster. Now we figure out which cluster the third point belongs to. We measure the distances, and then assign the point to the nearest cluster. The rest of these points are closest to the orange cluster, so they'll go in that one too. Now that all the points are in clusters, we go on to step 5. Calculate the mean of each cluster. Then we repeat what we just did, measure and cluster, using the mean values. Since the clustering did not change at all during the last iteration, we're done. Bam! The k-means clustering is pretty terrible compared to what we did by eye. We can assess the quality of the clustering by adding up the variation within each cluster. Here's the total variation within the clusters. Since k-means clustering can't see the best clustering, its only option is to keep track of these clusters and their total variance and do the whole thing over again with different starting points. So here we are again, back at the beginning. K-means clustering picks 3 initial clusters, and then clusters all the remaining points, calculates the mean of each cluster, and then reclusters based on the new means. It repeats until the clusters no longer change. Boop, 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 boop. Now that the data are clustered, we sum the variation within each cluster. And then we do it all again. At this point, k-means clustering knows that the second clustering is the best clustering so far, but it doesn't know if it's the best overall. So it will do a few more clusters. It does as many as you tell it to do, and then come back and return that one if it is still the best. Question: how do you figure out what value to use for k? With this data, it's obvious that we should set k to 3, but other times it is not so clear. One way to decide is to just try different values for k. We'll start with k equals 1. K equals 1 is the worst case scenario. We can quantify its badness with the total variation. Now try k equals 2. K equals 2 is better, and we can quantify how much better by comparing the total variation within the 2 clusters to k equals 1. Now try k equals 3. K equals 3 is even better. We can quantify how much better by comparing the total variation within the 3 clusters to k equals 2. Now try k equals 4. The total variation within each cluster is less than when k equals 3. Each time we add a new cluster, the total variation within each cluster is smaller than before. And when there is only 1 point per cluster, the variation equals 0. However, if we plot the reduction in variance per value for k, there is a huge reduction in variation with k equals 3. But after that, the variation doesn't go down as quickly. This is called an elbow plot, and you can pick k by finding the elbow in the plot. Question: how is k-means clustering different from hierarchical clustering? K-means clustering specifically tries to put the data into the number of clusters you tell it to. Hierarchical clustering just tells you, pairwise, what two things are most similar. Question: what if our data isn't plotted on a number line? Just like before, you pick 3 random points. And we use the Euclidean distance. In 2 dimensions, the Euclidean distance is the same thing as the Pythagorean theorem. Then, just like before, we assign the point to the nearest cluster. And just like before, we then calculate the center of each cluster and recluster. Bam! Although this looks good, the computer doesn't know that until it does the clustering a few more times. Question: what if my data is a heat map? Well, if we just have 2 samples, we can rename them X and Y. And we can then plot the data in an XY graph. Then we can cluster just like before. Note, we don't actually need to plot the data in order to cluster it. We just need to calculate the distances between things. When we have 2 samples or 2 axes, the Euclidean distance is the square root of x squared plus y squared. When we have 3 samples or 3 axes, the Euclidean distance is the square root of x squared plus y squared plus z squared. And when we have 4 samples or 4 axes, the Euclidean distance is the square root of x squared plus y squared plus z squared plus a squared, etc., etc., etc. Hooray! We've made it to the end of another exciting stat quest. If you like this stat quest and want to see...
Okay. So that should be some of the basics demonstration of the clustering, and I hope that you can enjoy it. We'll come back later in this class, and I will demonstrate you guys how the people really do it for the calculating of the clustering, okay? And how it can be used in other kinds of example and also the customer segmentation. All right, let's take a break like about 10 minutes before coming back as like about 11:30. Okay? Okay, guys. You here? Very good. You are not here yet. Let me change. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Let's go into the last part of the today's session. So we're going to demonstrate you guys, how to conduct the k-mean cluster easily on Excel. Anyway, this is just the demonstration. I mean, like, if you really do it on the real life application, this will be more complicated. But don't worry. This one is just demonstration and just very quick. Okay, so you see about how the people do for the clustering, right? For the k-mean cluster and all the kind of principle behind this kind of charge flows of what the people do with the clustering. But however, to do that one, we can use an example of the data point and the coordinate to see like how they can be generated and how they can calculate by the k-mean cluster. Let's assume that we want from this 7 data point, we want to generate 2 clusters, okay? by the K-means algorithm and Euclidean distance. We can also do it with the what the people call the Manhattan distancing too, but it's fine for us to just do it by ourselves. All right, so this will be the first part. I've already created the data point over here, okay? But I will create for another chart so you can easily see it and make it a little bit bigger. So this will be coordinate of x and y, right? This have not been created for the previous. Okay, so this will be x and y, and we have 7 different data points. All right. The thing will be like we want to create the 2 clusters. To do that, we will create the first 2 initial centroid. All right. And we will say about that later. That's okay. Initial centroid 1 and 2, but anyway, like we will do it and show you how we do this one. Okay, so first of all, you can see that how the 2 variable, I would say 2 variable, is generated on Excel. So you see like how they are distributed. You can easily create it there with the what? Normally the people do it with the cluster. Okay. So this will be for all the data, right? The data point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different data points. So this will be what the people cost for coordination 7 data point. Okay. And you can do it like this one. This will be called OX. This will be OY. Okay. All right. So based on your manual assessment, right, or by your eye, I can think like, okay, it look like I can create the 2 cluster. Maybe this one belong to the first cluster. Maybe this one and another one, this one, right, belong to the second cluster. Is that possible? I'll go outlier. Okay. Okay, if that's right, we can say that that's 1. But if that's very true, if that's really true or not, let's take a lot of work to just examine about that one. Okay, to do that and to conduct to cluster the 7 data point into 2 cluster or 2 group. Okay, maybe we can try with 3, 4, 5 different group. Okay. But the thing will be like how much it will be the best. It very depends. Most of the case, the people will do it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But not a lot. We cannot do it with 7 group, with seven cluster, right? 7 data point. We should not do it with 7 cluster because that does not help. Nếu như mà trong có 7 cái giá trị thôi, có 7 ví dụ 7 khách hàng mà mình nói mình chia vào thành 7 nhóm, thế thì mỗi người một khách hàng một nhóm thì ý nghĩa gì? Mình làm cái kế hoạch kinh doanh như thế nào được? Tương tự như vậy, nếu mình làm đối với lại là mình có 7 khách hàng nhưng mà mình chia nó thành ví dụ như một nhóm thì ý nghĩa gì? Trong khi như vậy tất cả mọi người đều thuộc cùng một nhóm như thế thì cũng không thể phân biệt được. Tôi ưu nhất ví dụ như 7 khách hàng đó mình chia thành 2 nhóm là 2 nhóm khác biệt. Một nhóm có thể là họ thường thích mua những hàng luxury, họ thường là tới siêu thị mua hàng của mình nhiều. Nhóm thứ hai là thường họ mua những necessity và đến thời gian mua hàng mình thấp. Thì 2 nhóm này sẽ có những cái phương pháp khác nhau về mặt business strategy hoặc là marketing strategy. Nhưng mà đó là cái cách đối với lại cái chuyện là chọn bao nhiêu cái cluster. Ở đây thì người ta chọn 2 group, có thể 3 group, 4 group cũng được. Nhưng mà nếu đẩy data point mà mình ví dụ làm 5 group, 6, 7 group là hơi vô lý. Ngược lại là một group là rất là dở. Yeah. Okay, so we do it like that way. But anyway, this is our initial chart. We will not do it that way. Okay. let's go and calculate for the k-mean cluster. So to do that one, the suggestion from the PowerPoint slide would be like, we choose the initial central point would be like C and G, okay? So we just select C for the initial central point number 1 and G for the initial central point number 2. Let's do it and make the calculation. So to make the calculation, we will do the cluster. Okay, we do some kinds of calculation, including like clustering. We with two different cluster, we want to just say it like how would be the distance to the centroid number 1 and to the centroid number 2, and if they belong to centroid number 1 and number 2 with the 7 data point. Okay, so to do that one, okay, we can calculate it first by which way? Okay, with the Euclidean distance method, we would do it with square root of the square of the difference between the distance. So okay, so let's check it for the square of the different distance. For example, the data point A, right? Data point A, 1, 1. How they are different to the initial centroid 2, 2, 2, 2, right? So it's very simple. So take it like coordination of the first one minus for the central, and then square it up, plus for the difference between the y of the data point A minus for the central of the centroid. And square it up. Of course, it will be square up, so we have to use the square root, right, for the end of this one. All right, so the distance from the data point A into the initial centroid 2, 2 over here would be like 1.14. Okay, you can also apply it because that over here, I say it all for the initial centroid to be fixed, so it will not change, and you can easily apply the same function for the rest of the graph. Okay, and ta-da, we see it. The second, I can also measure for the difference between this data point, these data point into the centroid number 2. That should be 6 and 1. Okay, 6, 1 will be this data point. Okay, so this initial centroid, and let's do it. Take it the same minus for the centroid. Square. Okay, remember this is just the square of the distance, so we have to take the square root of everything. Okay, right, and now let's see. It looked like for the data point A, right, number 1, 1, it looks like they are close to the centroid number 1 more than the centroid number 2, because the distance will be just 1.14 compared to 5. So I would say like the data point A here, right, it should belong to the first initial centroid, because are they closer to centroid 1 than 2? The same, I can do it with the second one, because 1 is smaller than 4. 0, 1. Okay, I can do it for all the time. This one will be like 1, right? But then 2.23 is smaller than 2.82. But for this one, they belong to the group 2, because 2.23 is smaller than 3.16, something like that. And 2 and 3. Okay. So for initial calculation, it says like, it says like, let me do it. It says like, no, the distance now should be changed. The initial centroid, for this one, they should be like A, B, C, D belong to the first group. Okay, while E, F, G should belong to the second group. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And now in our graph, it could change. So 1, 2, 3 belong to the first one. The fourth number D, right? The central point, 4, 3, this one should belong to the first group too. So now our cluster will change a little bit. It should look like this. Okay. It look like this. Okay. And then centroid number 2. Sorry, the cluster number 2 should look like this. You see, based on the first initial calculation, but we're not sure that is it correct or not correct. So we just save off the result over here. We just save off the result of calculation over here, and we call this one will be the first initiation iteration. I would say first trial. Okay. Remember, I make something wrong here because all the calculation over here would be should be saved and paste by just the values only. So it can have it saved by this way. If you copy it into the new one, it will just reference into the formula and make something wrong. Okay. Anyway, another way to belong to the cluster number 1 or 2 when you just have a not just 7 data point, but like maybe 100. We will not manually do it, right? You can use the function, for example, if this one is smaller than distance to the centroid 2, so it belongs to the first group. If not, it belongs to the second group, right? This should be the kind of algorithm to determine the data point belongs to which centroid. And you can apply it for the same. So it saves more time for you to calculate. All right, so this will be the first stage if we try to cluster it. But now, remember about the way for the people to do it for the clustering, right? After when they already measure for the new cluster, okay, you will get more data point. You will get the new of the data point, and then the centroid will move. Does mean now the initial centroid is no longer valid. With the new data, right? This could be the new group, and the centroid should move somewhere over here. Let me check it where it should be exactly. So initial centroid now would be changed by the average of this 4 data point. Okay. And it changed into the same with the coordinate of y. The other, this one centroid 2 average would be of this data point from E, F, and G. And they can apply for the same with this one. Okay. So now the centroid number 1 will be 2.25 and 1.71. Where should be? Can I add into like draw? Okay. So it now will be like 2.25, right? 2.25 will be over here, and 1.75 this will be over here. This will be the new centroid, okay? And the same, the new centroid of the new data point would be, it moved, right? It moved from the initial will be this one into this one. Okay, it's from this one to this one. Initial data centroid were number 7, this one. Now it's moving to 520, 533, and 3. So the new centroid will be like 533 and 3. That should be here, right? Okay, so it's a long distance of moving. You can see that? And finally, of course, with the new centroid, right? They have been recalculated one more time into the new one. Okay, sorry, no more to that. No more to that one. Okay, so now the centroid has been changed, and also all the distance to the centroid has been changed too. You can see like they have been updated over here, right? They have been updated over here, and you can see the distance to the centroid is changed. Now, it looked like the first 3 data point A, B, C belong to the cluster 1, and the D, E, F, G now change and belong to the cluster 2. Let's just copy it for the second iteration. Oh, sorry. Paste special. And this will be called the second iteration. This means second time of the 12. Second iteration. Okay? And you can see that now the data would be like ABC belong to the first group, D, E, F, G belong to the second group. It changed. Can you see it? Mấy đứa có thấy hồi nãy giờ thầy tính toán có nhìn không bay hay là ngáp nháp thế? Không coi cái này xong bữa sau không làm được bài thứ tư đâu. Okay. So it changed now for the second group, for the location of this group, and now it can be had been none. Okay. With this one, we one more time had to recalculate for the new cluster. It no longer look like this one anymore, right? It's no longer look like this one anymore. Now, the group 1, 2, 3 will be ABC will be belong to the first group. Okay, one more time. Oh, what stupid I did. Okay. Now, it has been changed one more time. Now my cluster become back into 1, 2, 3. And the cluster number 2 come into 3, 2, 4, 5, D, E, F, and G. So this will be the new cluster. And of course, they change for the initial centroid too. So one more time, it's become the average of these 3 data points. The same with this one, it will become the average of this 4 data points. And you change. Okay. So now the new data points would be it change into number 1667 and 1333. So this will be the new data point. 1667 and 1333. It could be over here. Okay, so it moved from the second plane into the new plane. The same is moved with this one into like from this one into 5 and 3. So 5 and 3 will be over here. There will be some move. Okay. Now let's come back and see like when I change for the centroid. The data has been changed. Oh no, it didn't change compared to the initial one, or it stayed the same. It stayed the same. Now it belongs to the cluster ABC with the new result, right? With the new result. Now they still belong to the first initial centroid. Okay, and DEFG still be like in the second centroid. Okay, so in the iteration 3, actually this will be the third time we calculate. Case section. So for the third time of the calculation, it stay the same cluster. So you see, it's still like 1, 1, 1. Like ABC still belong to cluster 1, and ABC still be cluster 1. D, E, F, G still belong to the cluster 2, and this didn't change anything. So now, even when I do that way, and I do the calculation one more time, it's still the same. We would say like the cluster data point do not change anymore. So this will be the last result. Okay, so that should be the last result when we can conduct it and go it for the cluster number to create the 2 clusters by this way. Okay, so that's the basic idea when I demonstrate it on this PowerPoint slide when I create for the cluster and algorithm. Okay, seems to be very challenging, right? For the rest of the calculation and some of the part, you just learn about that one. Just read it about that one. Okay. the thing will be like with the same thing. I can do it with R Studio if you take another course in the data mining, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have chance to do that. We can also create for the same result. When I have the different data point, if you take a look into the different data point, okay? So if I see about viewing the X, this will be the result about coordination between 150 data points, okay? And by running for all the things, I can create for a chart. This will be all the data point distributed, 150 data point distributed in my scatter plot and see how they interact. If I run it for one more time, okay, if I run it for one more time, I can create for the different chart. However, if I use the k-mean cluster, this will be one of the basic function on RStudio. You can also create for the chart, and you can see that how the data is that defined and changed into the different cluster. Okay, the first cluster, second cluster, the third cluster. So they are using for some kinds of k-mean cluster calculation to just do it. The thing will be like when I do it on Excel, right? You see that how long it takes for me. Very long, super long, and take a lot of time. But however, if I do it on maybe some coding program or later you learn about a RabbitMiner, you will receive about how the thing could be like instruct in details on RabbitMiner. You will feel like it just takes a few lines of the code or some very quick calculation, and they can create the cluster for you. All right? You good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any question? Có không? Dung đi có không? Nhức đầu không? Chưa? Được. Ok, không có gì đâu. Cái nội dung này thì phải coi đi coi lại một số lần với làm bài homework thì làm ra thôi. Tương tự như vậy thì thầy ở đây thầy có một cái demonstration, nhưng mà thôi chắc cho mấy đứa bài học tới đây thì không cần thiết lắm. Thì customer segmentation nó là một cái dạng bài mà thầy đã lấy ra một từ tập data từ Kaggle. Đó là một cái tập data của các customer ID. Ở đây có 100 mấy chục 200 cái customer. Họ đã có những thông tin liên quan đến là những người từ gender gì, tuổi của họ bao nhiêu, annual income như thế nào, spending score của họ ở mức độ từ 1 đến 100 là bao nhiêu chẳng hạn như thế. Thì mình sẽ phân nhóm là những nhóm người trong 200 người này thì nên chia thành bao nhiêu nhóm để sẽ như thế. Thì thầy ở đây thầy có làm một cái customer segmentation bằng cách là thầy lấy một cái tập dữ liệu data nhỏ, đâu đó khoảng tầm có 3-4 người như thế thôi, 7 người ban đầu. Và thầy cũng làm tương tự như vậy với customer ID. 7 customer ID ban đầu thầy chỉ lấy những giá trị về quantitative thôi, về age của họ, annual income và spend score của họ. Những thông tin như vậy sẽ giúp cho thầy có thể cluster thành 2 nhóm. Ở đây thì thầy làm 2 nhóm, thực tế mọi người có thể đổi thành 3 nhóm, 4 nhóm, 5 nhóm là tùy. Muốn làm mấy nhóm tùy. Thì bây giờ thầy làm 2 cluster và thầy run nó 4 lần. Sau khi run 4 lần thì thầy nhận ra rằng là cluster thứ nhất là những người thuộc nhóm là 2, 4, 6, tức là người thứ hai này. Những người mà có độ tuổi 22, độ tuổi 23, 77 rồi những cái này đây. Và độ tuổi 22 này, những người này thuộc nhóm thứ nhất. Còn những người thuộc người thứ nhất, người thứ ba, người thứ năm và người thứ bảy, những người này thuộc nhóm thứ hai. Thì mọi người có thể xem thử là những người thuộc nhóm thứ nhất thì có đặc tính gì, và những người thuộc nhóm thứ hai thì có đặc tính gì, như vậy. Thì đó là cái cách để mà mình có, ví dụ như mình có thể sort cái data được, hoặc là mình có thể fill, move it up, down rồi các thứ. Nhưng mà người sẽ thấy rằng là thứ tự của những người này sẽ có những đặc điểm chung như thế nào. Cluster thứ nhất, người số 2, người số 4, người thứ 6, thường độ tuổi là khoảng 21, 23, 22. Họ có annual income 15, 16 và 17 rất gần nhau. Và có spending score là 81, 77 và 76 là những cái spending score rất cao. Mọi người thấy không? Cluster thứ hai thì những người còn lại số 1, số 3, số 5, số 7. Những người này thì tuổi là 19 này, 23 này, 21 và 35, thôi có vẻ không liên quan. Annual income của họ 15, 16, 17 và 18 cũng khá gần với nhóm kia. Nhưng mà ngược lại, spending score của họ là những người rất thấp. Spending score của họ có 39, 6 này, 40 và 6. trong khi cái nhóm bệnh nhân thứ nhất thì sẽ có là 81, 77, 76. Như vậy theo mình hiểu về các phương pháp tính của cái clustering này, tức là họ sẽ phân nhóm thông thường dựa vào những chỉ số này và họ thấy rằng là ba cái người 2, 4, 6 này rất gần nhau và là nhóm đối tượng thông thường có thu nhập từ khoảng 15 đến 17 triệu, 15 đến 17 nghìn đô gì đó, và có span score rất cao, dao động từ khoảng 76 cho tới 81. Những người có span score thấp thành nhóm còn lại. Thì cái này là hoàn toàn những tính toán chứ không phải nhìn bằng mắt, và mọi người thấy nó rất là logical. You see that? Okay, that's the thing I wanted just you guys to see and understand about how the calculations for the today's class. I will not just make it too hard, and I know that about data mining is quite a challenging. However, very quick reminding would be like for the homework number 4. I will post it later because I'm still do some change. First of all, when you submit for me for the screenshot, remember to occupy the time and days of the screenshot answer, right? Don't just submit for me just only the screen, but no attempt or everything about the time you take it. Second of all the thing has been posted here in details, and it instruct you guys how to just conduct everything on RabbitMiner. Okay, from like taking the data from where you can import the data from, something like that. So like with CSV, take the data from somewhere, import the data from my computer. Okay, actually like not my computer, this PC, and it's saved in my computer on in UK, advanced data analytics, module homework, full data. Okay, so this will be the way we like can put into the system. You will see how it can be all in detail. Bring it, run it, and you can see like how it can be copied and save it into RabbitMiner. You can go back later and create for some kinds of graph or whatever you want. Or with the data result, you can see it with the visualization. You can change it with not just scatter plot, but all the other kind of stuff, bell curve, whatever. So I would say that RabbitMiner will be one of very strong tool without using any coding. It's not complicated like running it on RStudio or something like run it on Python like this one. Okay, you don't have to do that. But RabbitMiner will be still very valid, and it helps you to save the time in calculating and run complicated data mining tasks. So enjoy it. Go home and read and just like read more, watch more about my instruction video. I post this all over here. Go through it, and you will learn how to just conduct and do all the things about unsupervised data mining or clustering on RabbitMiner. Okay, I hope that you enjoy. Because this will be very detailed instruction, and just follow it. You can do it. Good. Any question? Any question? No, right? Okay, I'm stop recording from now.